Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show on this gorgeous Tuesday. It is Women's Month and we are still focused on all women's needs, especially when it comes to nutrition. Now, we know that those change dramatically over a lifetime, shaped by age and lifestyle, also hormones most importantly, and your health goals. From supporting bone health in your 20s to boosting energy out in your 40s, the right diet can really transform how you feel and also how you show up in the world and perform. And with so much conflicting advice out there, it's hard to know what really works for each stage of your life, which is why today we are joined by registered dietitian Kerry Seedy as well as biokineticist Jocelyn Natachan to break it all down and give you all the information that you need. So ladies, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
I have to say, this is a really interesting conversation because through every phase of your life, it just feels like I need a refresh on this decade. What do I need to do? So Kerry, maybe I can start with you about the important nutrition priorities, perhaps, in your 20s and in your 30s, and do they differ?
Yes, yeah. So obviously, I think very importantly is setting up good sort of starting strategies early in your 20s, preventing excessive weight gain. So often when in your early 20s, a lot of people are studying or starting new jobs. School sport's not mandatory anymore because you're not at school. So a lot of people sort of exercise goes to the wayside. You could be partying quite a bit. So adopting healthy eating habits early on, very important. Obviously 20s and 30s, women are going through sort of your menstruation and childbearing years. So iron, very important, folic acid, assuring adequate intake from there is very important.
And would you suggest that from supplements or it's available in food too?
Yeah, so depending on if you're vegetarian or vegan, I definitely suggest either having a multivit with iron in it or supplementing just with iron itself. But obviously, if you're having enough meat, fish, and chicken in your diet, you should be getting adequate iron in, especially if you include sort of red meat twice a week.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Fish and chicken.
Yeah.
Yes, all of the above. Fish and chicken, and twice a week with that red meat. Joss, you work with clients in their 20s, so you've got quite a on-the-ground idea of what is actually happening. So how do you help them build habits when it comes to exercise that maybe will last into your 30s and last a lifetime?
Yeah, so I think that's a really important question, and I find that it's about creating that positive and healthy relationship towards exercise, kind of understanding why we're doing it and why it's benefiting us, not only on the physical aspect, but that mental side. Like Harry said, like we're going through a lot of transition phases, we're studying, starting new careers. So there's a lot of transition periods. So it's all about starting that healthy, positive relationship with our exercise to create that foundation so that we can go into our age as we grow, just having that connection with exercise and the benefits thereof.
I love that. I feel like a revelation has just hit so many people, especially women. Like we would often use exercise as punishment.
Yes.
Whatever you take in, you're trying to punish your body to get out, but creating that healthy habit and connection, so vital. So thank you for that reminder as well. Kerry, back to nutrition, protein, please, let's talk about it. Protein and women, that conversation needs to be had. And also your calcium intake in particular.
Yes. Yeah.
How does that shift, especially as you approach the next decade in your 40s?
Yeah. So calcium especially becomes important as you age. You know, women are more at risk for osteoporosis, osteopenia, and that kind of thing. Calcium requirements actually go up as after 50. But it's important with bone density to establish a good calcium and vitamin D intake early on because, you know, playing catch up later on in life, it's much harder, you know. So ensuring enough, so we normally recommend sort of 2 dairy servings a day, whether it's milk, yogurt, cheese, that kind of thing. Just to ensure adequate calcium intake. Yeah, in terms of protein, you know, it's important to have a balanced diet. As one ages, your muscle mass naturally declines. So weight-bearing exercises, you would know in terms of maintaining lean muscle mass, ensuring adequate protein combined with your training to ensure maintenance of lean muscle mass is important as you age.
And I love that you've mentioned that because I was going to ask you just to weigh in on it. Like, how important is weight training? Often cardio is what girlies go for, but you got to pick up those weights.
So strength training is so important. It's building that bone mineral density and that muscle mass. So that's kind of protecting our joints, allowing us to do daily activities, going on hikes, exercising throughout. So strength training is very important as we go.
I love that. I've even seen these videos on TikTok with people saying you do this exercise in order to do this daily activity, like picking up your groceries, you know what I'm saying, strengthening your knees, strengthening your upper body as well. So it really is functional too at the end of the day. Okay, Carrie, back to you. You know, we got to get all the boxes ticked. What simple everyday food swaps could we sort of incorporate in our lives, especially to boost women's long-term health?
Yeah. So from an anti-inflammatory point of view, the omega-3 fats are very important. So ensuring enough sort of naturally oily fish like salmon, mackerel, herring, trout, which I'll talk about later in terms of menopause and perimenopause. We'll touch on it. But also just going fat-free where you can. So dairy products, going fat-free yogurt, fat-free milk, cutting out that saturated fat, very important. And in terms of carbohydrates, just going high fiber, low GI, cut out the refined white starches, also an important thing to do.
It's like the basics that we just have to remind ourselves to do, right?
Yeah,
Thank you for that. I hope that you're sitting down, taking notes somewhere, Zazi. Top advice when it comes to consistency, Jocelyn, please. On an ending note for now, because we do have a part 2, what can we do? The big C word. How do we show up every day?
Yes, so you literally took the answer out of my mouth. It was literally just about showing up. It's not about this perfectionist and getting this solid routine down. We're human beings. We're going through this life together. So it's all about just showing up for that walk that you promised with your friend, going for that dance class, trying something new, just keeping that promise to yourself that we're going to continue to show up, because it's overall just going to be benefiting ourselves so that we can serve that energy for ourselves and to others throughout our day.
I love that. Let's honor our bodies together. This is what it's all about, not punishment, but just taking care of ourselves and making sure that in the future, 20s, 30s, 40s and beyond are definitely taken care of. So thank you, ladies, so much. Part 2 is coming your way in a bit. As Carrie said, we're going to be touching on menopause, perimenopause. So if you're in that category, 40 plus, then you definitely want to stick around for that, though. For now, we have to get into some fitness. You can see I've got the year going. So let's see exactly what we're getting into.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
It's true, it is your Feel Good Breakfast show. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Tuesday, and it's a Health Tuesday. Now, as women get older, life changes like pregnancy, perimenopause, and menopause bring unique challenges for health and also nutrition. Now, these transitions can affect energy and bone density and your metabolism, as well as recovery. But with the right exercise plan and eating strategy, women can navigate these changes with strength and, of course, with confidence. And that's why we brought back our panel today. Carrie Seedy still here and Jocelyn Natakhan back to talk a little bit more about age-specific advice for managing hormonal shifts and staying healthy throughout every single chapter of your life. Now, ladies, we touched on 20s, we've touched on 30s, a bit on 40s. I think let's go a little bit beyond this as well. Very curious because I'm trying to also prepare myself for the future, you know. So what are some of the important dietary changes, Carrie, that we really can think about and consider when women go through perimenopause as well as menopause?
Yeah, so what becomes very important, obviously, you know, dealing with the symptoms of perimenopause and menopause, dietary influences have a big role. So going for a very anti-inflammatory diet, so focusing on your omega-3 fats, like I mentioned earlier, salmon, mackerel, herring, tuna, including flaxseed. Flaxseed also helps to lower blood pressure. And then also just cutting out the refined carbs, focusing on low GI, also reducing salt intake, and then obviously, as mentioned previously, sort of calcium, vitamin D, just to ensure you've got adequate intake to ensure adequate bone density going into your 50s.
You mentioned anti-inflammatory. I just want to touch on that for a second. Why is it important to have an anti-inflammatory diet or lifestyle?
Yes, so any inflammation, sort of like hot flushes and that kind of thing, is linked to inflammation in the body. So by having an anti-inflammatory diet, you're sort of counteracting those side effects of menopause.
Okay, that's so important to do. We don't want to have you experiencing all these things, but when it comes to exercise, maybe we can also help prevent them, Joss. So how do we sort of adapt our exercise, change it, switch it up when it comes to preparing for perimenopause and menopause?
Yes, so as our bone mineral density decreases and estrogen drops drops because as we age, we can actually combat that by doing strength training to reduce the risk of osteoporosis and fractures in the body by strength training, but also doing a bit of cross training. We can also go swimming, dancing, walking, still moving the body so that we can still be healthy and strong, but mainly doing that body weight exercises, putting strength on the muscles and the bones will help us combat and reduce the risk of that osteoporosis and the fractures in the body.
And sometimes it's important to start small. Go for that walk. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Take 30 minutes to just see what's happening outside and come back. And you can always build it up from
Those
there.
small wins, that good
Yeah.
foundation of exercise and knowing why we're doing it.
Exactly. People are often intimidated. No, we start small and we build from there, as
Yes.
Justice said. When it comes to vitamins and minerals, Carrie, let's get into this, especially with women over 50. How important does that become? And if maybe you can rehash on the things that we do need. I remember you said calcium.
Yeah. So over 50, so between the ages of 20 to 40 or 20 to 50, I should say, calcium requirements about 1,000 milligrams a day.
Sure.
The minute you turn 50, it goes up to 1,200 milligrams per day. So ensuring adequate calcium intake. For my ladies in their 50s, I normally do recommend a good combination calcium, vitamin D, magnesium supplement. And vitamin D becomes important as well. So vitamin D, calcium, essential for bone mineral density.
And we're talking about quality supplements, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Gotta
adequate.
make sure.
Yes. So ensuring the bioequivalent is absorbed.
Yes, of course. We want to make sure you guys are good, or ladies rather, that you're feeling good. What's the best way to stay active, just to ensure that injury is not something that we do incur on ourselves, especially as we get older? You mentioned something about fracturing bones, or as you get older, it does become a bit more brittle.
Yes, so I think the main thing is loading, so management load. So as we go through the week, say we're using our 5 kilogram dumbbells and you're like, okay, it's getting lighter and I'm feeling I'm getting stronger, then we can go a little bit heavier so that we manage that risk of injury, but also strengthening our body at the same time and still building. So also doing that healthy tracking of your exercises so that you can see where I'm at and kind of where I want to go and how much stronger I am getting throughout the week. So looking back and being like, wow, I could only do this and now I'm doing this. It's just those small wins like you said, and
that sense of accomplishment is unmatched.
Yes.
I remember when I was on my running journey and it was like when you're tracking yourself going, wait, last week I couldn't do this and now I'm making small increments of improvement. That is amazing. Okay, Carrie, strategies. Let's talk about how we're approaching this thing head on, especially with women who struggle with sort of managing their weight, linking that to hormonal shifts. I think that sometimes we can use the excuse of it's just my hormones, therefore the weight's not going to move. So what sort of strategies can we implement?
Yeah, so, focusing, I've always been a big advocate of Mediterranean type of lifestyle and dietary intake. A lot of the blue zones in the world are Mediterranean.
Right.
So for longevity and heart health and cardiovascular health specifically, I focus more on Mediterranean type eating, so that's more chicken and fish, limiting red meat to sort of like twice a week. Focus on those anti-inflammatory foods, ensuring adequate calcium, vitamin D intake, as we mentioned earlier, but also with hormonal shifts in the body and fluid retention that can often happen later in life, limiting processed foods and salt intake, very important, and then cutting out those refined sugars, so that we get from like sweets and biscuits and the hidden ones and like rusks and
listen, we love our rusks over here, but moderation is key is what I'm hearing.
Sure. But just ensuring an adequate healthy eating, healthy lifestyle, ensuring enough exercise, and just really having a balanced lifestyle, and hydration also essential. So also helps with fluid retention, and in terms of fluid requirements, a usable thing to know is sort of 30 mils per kilogram body weight it gives you a guide in terms of your fluid requirements. So it also prevents overeating and helps with weight management long term.
And hydration, you mean water?
Yes.
Okay, I think we've got to make that clear because people are sitting with the coffee and the tea, which we love, but water is vital.
It has to be caffeine free.
Very important. Thank you ladies so much. I feel like I'm so empowered for this decade and for decades to come. Very encouraging as well. And yes, that Mediterranean diet we're all incorporating, maybe with a rusk every now and then. All right? It is allowed, but we appreciate you, Joss, as well as Carrie. And we hope to see you soon. That's your Health Tuesday wrapped up for now. Ladies, I hope that you are feeling prepared and also definitely equipped with some great knowledge.